If you watch 3+You on a regular basis, you know that very often we talk about the housing market around here, from realtors, different realtors who are in the area, to Bruce Dodd at People's Home Equity, who's always quick and eager to help us talk about how he can help you get your home financed. He joins us again this morning. We're going to kick things off, though. I think it's a great idea, Bruce, with a little bit of a different topic for those people out there who already have a mortgage: the importance of checking your insurance policy to make sure your escrow account is funded the right way. Is that right?
Well, one of the things that happens when you get a mortgage is you set up insurance. And then for a lot of people, they never look at it again. Life changes. Sometimes you need different coverage. Sometimes you've added jewelry. You've got firearms that aren't covered. So it's always important to make sure you're looking at your homeowner's insurance, I think, once a year to make sure you have the right coverage. Second of all, a lot of insurance companies are going to have annual increases. And if you're escrowed, then a lot of times people just don't ever look at it. And then you wake up 5 or 6 years down the road and your insurance has gone up between 5 and 10% a year. And over 5 or 6 years, that's a lot of money. So my recommendation is most of the time your insurance is going to renew the same day you bought your house. And so whatever the anniversary of your house purchase is, if you put in your calendar 30 days before that each year, and you reach out to your agent and maybe another competitive insurance company and just get pricing, make sure you're looking at your coverage, because if calamity strikes, you don't want to find out that your Rolex isn't covered.
Okay, so but the insurance coverage that you have on the items in your home and the home itself, that's discretionary. I mean, each individual homeowner can pick and choose what they think is the appropriate coverage for their life.
Yes.
But that's different from the escrow fund, isn't it?
No, your homeowner's insurance is paid through your escrow account. And so every year what's going to happen is your escrow is going to get adjusted based on when you get your renewal, they're going to set it for that same amount next year. And so what I would say is important to do is shop that insurance a month before. And then if, let's say you're going to make a change, well, if you do it at any other portion, any other time other than when it renews, you're going to have to write the insurance company a check, provide that insurance to your mortgage company, and then they adjust your escrow account. And then you'll get back whatever funds have been paid on your other insurance policy.
Oh, I gotcha.
But so let's say you bought your house on April the 15th. Well, I would say on March the 15th, it's a good idea to look at your insurance, call your agent, say, hey, let's renew our coverage. Tell me what my policy is going to be next year. And then take that quote and go to another insurance company or two and say, hey, for the same coverage, what's the cost going to be? And then if you decide to make a change, then at that point, you can provide that information to your mortgage servicer, and they'll just make the change when the policy renews. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. And I might be setting you up unfairly, so you can just say pass, I take the fifth, if you don't want to answer this one. But when you're shopping around for a good rate, do you, though, to a degree, get what you pay for? Do you have to be skeptical of an insurance policy that's too good to be true?
Well, I think you want to look at what the coverage is. My recommendation always is to use local providers where you can go sit across the desk from them and have them explain the coverage. You can look up coverage and see how it's rated, what their financial ratings are. So I would say you only want AAA rated companies, which most of the big ones are.
Right.
And then you have a declarations page that says what your coverages are. And so you go over that with your agent. You'll find a lot of people have never even met their local insurance agent. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't. They don't even know the coverage they have now. They just bought a house. They were excited about buying the house.
Right.
They got a policy. It met what the lender said you had to have, and they've never looked at it again. I would bet that's probably 80, 85, maybe even 90% of people out there. They've never looked at it. And so I would suggest that that's something that you ought to have as part of an annual review. If you're running a business and you have a plant, you're looking at your insurance coverage on a regular basis. You have to look at your family and as your assets the same way you would if you're running a business,
right,
because you are.
Right.
And so it's important to look at those things, because should calamity strike and you find out that you get robbed and your jewelry's not covered, if you have firearms and your firearms aren't covered over a certain amount, because usually those amounts in your policy are pretty nominal, you may be setting yourself up to where you're not appropriately covered.
Right.
In some cases, you may find that you have too much coverage and you're paying for too much. So it's one of those things you need to renew. You need to look at each and every year. And it's an important part, because most policies are going to be between $1,200 and $2,500 a year.
Okay.
Over 10 years, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, yeah.
So make sure you're looking at it and make sure you have the appropriate coverage.
I do have less than 2 minutes, so talking about a lot of money, headlines now are the interest rates are highest they've been in, I can't think of how many years the headline has read, but a number of years. For us who remember, that's still relatively inexpensive compared to the 1980s. Still a good time to buy a house. Don't press the panic button if you're looking to buy.
Well, the thing is that for most people, you just need to look at how much the payment is, and is that payment still in line for you? It's still, rates have bumped up some, but depending on when you look at it, it's still in the lower range for historical costs of money. It's higher than it was at the lowest points of the pandemic, absolutely.
Wow.
But for most people, when you look at how much rents are also increasing in price.
Right.
And you're better off owning real estate. You just need to make sure that, let's say you were looking this time last year, you want to take a look at that and make sure that you're looking at the appropriate price point. What you're going to find for a lot of people, it's going to cost you more at 5.5% than it did at 3%.
Right.
The average sales price in Chattanooga, it's not that much more money, and you're still owning a house.
I've got to let you leave it there, but thank you always for the advice. Now I understand the purpose of the escrow account. People's Home Equity on East Brainerd Road, 591-9801. Online, it is chatmortgage.com. Thank you, my friend.
Take care.